What's up, everybody? Another day of working on the e36. It is a cold day, but we got a couple of parts in from ECS, so let's pop this box open and see what exactly we have. I know what we have, but you don't, so let's get this guy open and then talk about what we're going to be doing today. So, the first thing that we have is a set of Turner Motorsports SAP, essentially the plugs to delete the SAP. Let's see if we can get a, there we go. They are stainless steel, nice little gasket with them, and then on top of that the Turner logo lasered in. And then we have an actual important part. One that I was actually looking forward to. It is part of the cooling system. We have the, let's see if you can see it, the Stewart high flow water pump. It is a metal propeller, unlike the OEM plastic ones that become brittle and break over time. So don't have to worry about that, but it also is a high flow water pump. I believe it is bearing operated or driven, not driven, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's essentially got a bearing in it to help the flow of it, as well as the design itself allows for better cooling. So we got that in. We will be installing that. Most of this video, like last video, will probably be, or at least more so in this video. I did realize last video that there wasn't a whole lot of time lapse. This video will more than likely have, for the most part, time lapse, just because there isn't going to be anything that's really interesting for me to talk about. But I'm hoping that in this episode I will be able to start the car. I still need a couple of parts. The only one holding me back from starting it right now is going to be the transmission crossmember, simply because I don't want to start it with a lot of weight hanging off the back of the motor that can just shake around. So what we're going to be doing is we've got this piece of cardboard and a marker to write out a list of all the things that I'm going to try and get accomplished in this video. Essentially, I want to create a list to get everything that is plausible to get done in this video that will, if not get me to a point where I can start the motor, to a point where it'll only take a couple of uninteresting mods that probably won't be filmed to get it started. Still won't be able to be driven. I still need a drive shaft, but started is definitely doable in this video. So I'm going to get some stuff written down on this guy, and then we will go from there. Alright, so we're essentially going to be doing this by systems. So we're going to go ahead and get some stuff written down. First system, cooling system. We have cooling parts. In fact, most of the parts that I have right now are cooling, so we're going to work on that. So, water pump. Have that in. We can go ahead and get that set up. I do need to go get the bolts from the old motor in storage, so we'll probably not do that today, but we will be doing that in this episode. Thermostat. Another important part of the cooling system. With it starting to get cold and it not being on track all the time, I was originally going to go with like the Mishimoto cool lower temperature, just because of the cooling issues that these are notorious for, but I don't think it'll be necessary at this point, so we're just going to go with an OEM 92 degree Celsius, that is, thermostat. So, block offs. So there are two main ones that I want to take care of. One is the throttle cooling lines. They are kind of an oxymoron when you think about it. Having a line of coolant running through the throttle body doesn't really cool down the air. It in fact heats it up. So we're going to essentially loop those lines and get that heated area out of the throttle body. Sorry. Second one being the heater core block off. I do have a plate that will bolt into the back of the head, and then I have to figure out a size for the plug to go into that hose that comes off of that little tube that runs underneath the intake manifold. Hoses and radiator. Have the Mishimoto radiator in the trunk of this guy, as well as the ECS silicone hoses chilling inside waiting to go in. Next system will be the fuel, and there's only two things that I need to do right now. One of them is to install the lines onto the fuel rail. I have them ran up there, just need to unplug the old ones that came on the new motor and just install the ones that are plug in the ones that are still on the chassis. Second thing is that we're going to drain the fuel tank, simply because it's been sitting for a couple of months and I don't want to clog up the lines. The fuel shouldn't be that broken down, but just to be safe, we're going to go ahead and clear all that stuff out anyway. Following system after that isn't going to be the full system, simply because I still have to do other work to it, but the exhaust. We're going to get those Turner plates on, as well as get that vacuum line plugged from where the SAP system was. There is that little block-off plate on that little vacuum piece on the passenger side that ends up wrapping around the front of the head. We're going to get that blocked off, since that system's no longer going to be used anyway. So, and then the final one that we're going to be taking care of before we can start it is going to be the transmission. Essentially need to get that cross member. I'm just going to head to like a pick and pull, since I'm having trouble sourcing one from local BMW people. So I'm going to try and find one down there, as well as a drive shaft if possible. Gonna get the mount on those and then mounted it to the chassis. That way nothing rattles around when we go to start it for the first time. Need to essentially just hot wire the clutch start system. I'm not going to be running a like a clutch start switch. I'm just going to be hardwiring it in, and then as well as trying to find the cross member, the drive shaft, we're also going to try and find the rear shifter bushing bracket. Essentially, I have the bushing, I just need the bracket that holds it to the chassis. So once those are all taken care of, fill everything with fluid, radiator cooling system with coolant, oil in the engine, and then ATF in the transmission, and we should be able to start this thing for the first time. So I'm going to get this set off to the side so I have a little checklist to go over, and then we're just going to time lapse the shit out of this and get it going. So let's do this shit. Well, filming today was kind of a bust. The moment that I tried filming some of the Turner stuff, battery died. So charged it and kind of worked on it on my e36 while battery was charging. But in any case, we got a little bit done. So where are they? There's one. Let's see if I can focus. That's about as good as I can focus. There's one there and then one in the back. There was a little bit of an issue, and I really hope that, I mean, I know it's gonna leak, but really hope it's not fucking noticeable. But this one right here, the bottom bolt stripped out inside of the head. So I had a little bit of a problem with this guy right here. The threads on the inside of the head, on the lower bolt, actually stripped out as I was tightening it up. So fingers crossed that it's not a terrible leak. The top one did tighten up. For the most part, that one felt like it was about to strip out, and I didn't really want to test my luck on that, so I got it as much as I could. Worst case scenario, I can just take the front manifold off and just weld that to there. since I'm not going to go back to the secondary air pump. Other quick little things that I got on: the power steering pump and the reservoir, as well as the alternator. And again, had another weird mishap with this. Nothing serious, I just have to figure out what's going on. But this is the one, this is a pulley that came off of right here. As you can see, it's got the space. The bolt is too long because it was supposed to hold this on, but I have this pulley on the new motor, so I've got to check the old motor, see what is going on there. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one. But yeah, the power steering pump and the alternator is on, which are two things that I forgot to even mention that I was going to be doing. And then I do also have the fuel lines in the back plugged in. So those are a few things that I can go ahead and mark off. A few things that I completely just didn't even think about were the water pump nuts. The pump slides on top, obviously, and then the nuts thread onto it. I don't have the nuts here, they're on the old motor, so I've got to go stop by there on my way home from work tomorrow to pick those up. Also going to do a quick little rundown, see if there's anything else that I need off of that. I know there's some exhaust studs that I need, so I'm going to pick those up as well. So we can mark off a few things from this guy right here. So, other few things that we did, one other thing that I did get done was the first part of the block off is the cooling lines on the throttle plate. That basically was just looped this line to where this, basically like took this guy off and looped it to where this guy would come from. So that's one thing that we can mark off. So on our list we've got the Turner plates marked off already. We have power steering pump and reservoir, alternator, install lines, and then we can mark half done. Water pump, again, need the nuts for it. The hoses and radiator will wait until I'm ready to put the front clip on, or at least ready to start it. Drain tank, I've got to wait until Friday so I can get a siphon, and then the thermostat as well on Friday. This weekend I should be picking up the cross member, hopefully, as well as the rear shift bushing bracket. Already have those, just need to wait on that. And then wiring, I hate wiring, so that'll probably wait until the very end. But for the most part, we are trucking right along. So like I said, it is plausible that the main goal of this video is to get the motor started. So that's the goal, that's what we're gonna make happen. It's just gonna be a bunch of time lapses until then, and then crank it over and listen to this baby purr. But yeah, I will be back at it tomorrow whenever I get off work. Like I said, I gotta get those things and we can keep going. Alright, day 2, just got the necessary little bits that I need to continue moving, so we're just going to jump straight into it. So, I managed to sort of track down a manual cross brace, and there is, obviously this guy's wider. I did have a little bit of problem getting it out, and it ended up breaking, so all that means is that right now I'm going to install this simply to mount everything up so it's no longer hanging by anything, and then later on whenever I get material I'm just going to weld a steel one. So this will be perfect for making a jig, but for the time being I'm going to get this guy in there. And I also was looking for the bracket that holds this up, but when I was pulling this guy, I noticed on the car that I was pulling it off of, this was just sort of wedged in there, so I'm going to see if that's the case. But yeah, hopefully that's it, and I don't have to find any other random little tidbit that nobody knows what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and get this guy in there. So it may be a little bit hard to see, but got the cross member in and the mounts in, and as well as that little shifter carrier bushing. So we're all set on the transmission. The only thing left to make it drive, at least, is to install like the slave cylinder and the clutch line. But it should be good to hold the engine in case we get enough progress to start it. Kind of did a few things without using the camera. Essentially got the DME in place in its little cubby. I have the EWS that is synchronized with this DME plugged in. Have the transmission mount, you guys saw that. And right now I'm getting ready to add just a little bit of oil to each of the cylinder walls and rotate it over to kind of get that little bit of lubrication in a place that I'm sure it hasn't been in a couple of months. So alright, so I did a couple things off camera just to kind of move this along. Got the thermostat and stuff all in. The only issue that I'm having right now is the radiator. Unfortunately, sometime between me taking it out and me trying to put it back in now, I have lost the lower mounts or the little bushings. So unfortunately there won't be coolant in the engine. However, there is oil, so we should be good to go on that. So we're gonna see if this thing should start. I have everything plugged in. Have the battery on a trickle charger, so it's got constant power. I even turned the key to make sure that everything was turning on the inside. So we're gonna see if we can get this to at least crank over and give us a little bit of hope that this is just about done. Well, that was very anticlimactic. I unfortunately have no idea what's going on. Tried two different ECUs, both immobilizers, going through the fuse box, and I'm not really seeing anything that's messed up, so I'm going to call it quits before I get mad and just go back to the drawing board and see if there's something I may have missed. Sorry to let you guys down, but I guess this will just be an update video of everything that could have got it to start. So I'll see you guys next time.